This is my first YouTube live, and I just wanted to explain where I've been for the past. Has it been 4 years? I think it's been 4 years since I stopped being active on YouTube. Let me see. The last time I posted like an actual vlog, I was alone, living with my mother in the middle of nowhere in Virginia. I graduated college. I had no jobs lined up after college, so I spent, I think, half a year, 6 months. I spent 6 months in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, looking for jobs, applying everywhere I could. But at the same time, I was making educational content on YouTube. I was making vlogs. I was explaining things about Japanese language. I was doing all this stuff, and I found a job, finally. I finally found a job, and basically the job was a teaching position back in the United States. So I moved, or back in the United States, I was in the United States, back in Florida. That was my hometown, Florida. So I moved back to Florida, and I did that job. It was a teaching position for a middle school, high school, private school. And I was teaching math, science, and Japanese students. Are we connected? Yes. There were some days, I was talking how stressful my job was, being a middle school, high school teacher at a small private school. This is one of those private schools that parents with troubled kids send their kids to, hoping that the school can somehow fix them. I'm going to be honest with you, not every school can fix every student. You know what I'm saying? Especially those small private schools that like struggle. You know what I mean? I went to a struggling small private school, and those kids were they were all right, but one of the biggest issues was the management, the people at the top, my bosses. Like that, my principal was telling me one thing, and then my vice principal was telling me the opposite thing. Oh, you should know, you should do it like this. Why are you doing it like that? There was one point where my students literally had a coup. They held a coup d'etat in my classroom, and they were gonna overthrow me basically as their teacher. It was horrible, because I was trying to implement these policies that different people in the office were trying to give me. This school was such a mess. God bless them. I love them. God bless them. But it was such a mess. I did that for 2 years. And to be honest, I wanted to get out after the first year, but I couldn't because I was teaching a foreign language. And in Florida, the state law requires all students to take 2 consecutive years of a foreign language. And in Florida, if you decide to change the language, you have to do 2 extra years in that language. So I was teaching 5 kids Japanese language in Florida. After my first year, I wanted to quit because that school was not great at all. But I couldn't really just quit. I knew I couldn't quit. It was on my conscience not to quit, because I owed it to those students. I owed it to them to give them that language requirement, that foreign language requirement. So I decided to stay another year. They even talked about one time, like, saying, hey, we're gonna have to let someone go this year. You're the newest recruit, so it's probably gonna be you. And I said, oh, that's fine. That's okay. Bye. I didn't say it like that, but I said, yeah, that's okay. I understand. I was kind of hoping they were going to do that, but they ended up getting rid of another senior person. I was really surprised by that. And, oh, hi. My car is restarting. Should I have this in? Can y'all hear me? I don't know if y'all can hear. This is my first time doing a YouTube live, so I'm not sure. But anyways, I did this horrible job for, oh, dang it, I should have went straight. I did this horrible job for 2 years, and COVID hits. COVID hit early America. It hit America really bad early 2020, and that was, I had made plans to go to Japan and get married to my girlfriend at the time. And then suddenly um, because of COVID, the whole world just went in lockdown. Everyone shut their borders. Japan was very quickly shutting their borders very strictly. No one could get in unless you were a Japanese national. And even I think some permanent residents couldn't even get in either. Unless you were a Japanese citizen, you could not enter the country. It was super strict. And I was scheduled. I had a plane ticket for June, I think. June or May. I had a plane ticket ready to go. Like, I bought it back in January or December, I want to say. I had a plane ticket ready, and I found out the border shut. Great. At the same time, I was looking for a job. I was looking for a job in Japan where my wife was living. At the time, I was looking for a job there, and I found one doing what I used to do. My very first job, which was fixing computers, computer repairs, and phone repairs. A tech repair person, basically. And so I interviewed on Skype with the manager at that job in Japan. Of course, it was all in Japanese, very professional. I wore my best. I, you know, I tried to review some business Japanese or whatever. It was okay. It was all right. But anyways, I ended up getting the job, and so I had a job lined up to go in June. I told the guy, hey, I probably can't, get there until June in to Japan, and he's like, oh, that's okay. So I have this job waiting, and comes around, the borders are still shut. I'm like, what am I gonna do? My girlfriend's waiting for me. She's waiting to become, and so I messaged my future boss, the guy who hired me, and I'm like, hey, the borders are shut. I'm probably gonna need you to wait a little. Email me when there's an update. So I was like, okay. So um, month after month goes by, and there is no update. I'm joining Facebook groups for like overseas people who are trying to get back to Japan. I'm trying to see if there's any route back to this country. At the same time, I don't have a job because my school job that I was working at stopped in June, so that's over. And now, I'm just staying at home in Florida, my home where I'm originally from. I'm staying there. I'm basically doing nothing. I'm studying, of course, every single day, playing that new Animal Crossing that dropped early in 2020, and it's not looking good. My girlfriend encourages me to, oh, why don't you find a job in the meantime? You never know how long you're going to be in America. You never know when the borders will open back up. So I was like, yeah, you're right. So I looked for a job. I actually got another job in Florida fixing phones and fixing computers and tablets. So I was doing that, making a little money while I wait. And all of a sudden, we hear news from the government of Japan that they are going to open borders to people with work visas starting in October, starting in October. When I heard that, I said, "Aw, heck yes!" So I got all the documents in order. There was a lot of documents that I needed for immigration to get a work visa, and I went back and forth with my boss, my wife, God bless her. She did so much work on the Japan end for me. She visited my future place of work, and she submitted documents, and she did all these things. She mailed all the documents to me. I got them to the embassy, and thank baby Jesus, the embassy actually okayed me to go back to Japan. I see someone said, we miss you. I miss you guys too. I miss YouTube. I miss making videos for you guys. I really do. And I'm gonna get to what's been going on. I'm still giving background of how I got back to Japan. I'm in Japan now, by the way. Yay! I'm in Japan now. I've been here for, actually, it will be a year this month. I think it's already been a year, actually. I'm in Japan. And the road to getting Japan was so long. It was so long, and it was so stressful because I never knew when they were going to let me in. Anyways, I submitted all my work visa documents. The embassy, to my surprise, said, yeah, you're go ahead, go. And I was like, okay. So I had 2 weeks to get my COVID vaccine, I got my, or not my vaccine, sorry, my COVID test. So I got my COVID test. I monitored my temperature for 2 weeks. I got all the documents. I'm gonna make a video maybe later of all the documents I had to submit to the embassy, to the airport, and my quarantine process, because there was a long process to after I actually arrived in Japan. But in October, a short window opened up. For some reason, they opened up a short window. I think because COVID cases in Japan were like stabilizing. They weren't going down, but they were stabilizing, and it was also the same situation in the United States. COVID cases were stabilizing, and so they decided to open up the borders to work visa holders or work permit holders in just October and November. So in October, I heard the news. I got all the documents ready, submitted everything, um, and I booked a flight for late October, early November, I believe it was. I came to Tokyo. I flew into Tokyo early November, and I stayed in a business hotel, which I booked online for 2 weeks. Now, there was very little information on how to go about like quarantining. What is the process for quarantining in Japan? I'm sorry you cannot see me. Is there a light? I can. There we go. Can you see me now? And I know you had to stay in a hotel 2 weeks, but it was kind of shady. Like, could I go outside of my hotel? Could I go to a corner store? Could I go to a convenience store? Could I ride a train? Could I ride a taxi? I knew riding public transportation was definitely a no-go. That was said all over the Facebook pages, all over the documents they handed you at the airport. Oh, by the way, in the airport, they gave me so many documents. And it was so many things. And um, I think one of them said something like, "Oh, you have to have a Japanese phone number and you have to register your phone number here so that we can check your temperature and we're gonna call you and text you." That never happened. I didn't have a Japanese number. I gave them my girlfriend's number at the time, my girlfriend's number. She never got a text. She never got a call. Nothing. The government of Japan didn't do anything during quarantine. And to be honest, you could just come into Japan if they let you through immigration and security. You could just come in Japan, and to be honest, you could like do whatever you wanted. No one checked up on you. No one did anything. It was the most loose system I've ever experienced. Um, it was the only quarantine experience I've ever had, but it was it was crazy. I never left the hotel. I never traveled around via subway or taxi or train. I never did that. I stayed in my hotel like a good um, American citizen, I guess, in Japan. And the hotel was great. Like everyone there was so nice, and it had complimentary breakfast. For lunch and dinner, literally, I would just go out to the local convenience store and buy bento lunches or whatever. I love curry. I get curry rice almost every night. Omurice, that's an omelet on rice. It's really good. I wish we had that in America. But anyways, quarantine wasn't so bad. At the end, I made some. I don't want to say I made friends with the staff, but the staff was super friendly to me, and I was nice to them. And at the end, they said, "Well, are you leaving? You know, where are you going? Are you going to the airport?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just gonna get a taxi." And they said, "Well, you know what? Let's drive you there." I said, "What? What?" They drove me in their hotel van, just me, to the airport. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it." So I get to the airport. I fly to my home now. I'm living in Okinawa, and I get to Okinawa late November, and early December I meet my girlfriend. We get married. I'm married now, and I'm living in Okinawa, and I started my job in early February. I had to do a bunch of paperwork. Oh, here's the crazy thing. Here's the craziest thing. I should never actually. I should. Should I tell this story? My visa. My visa was a work visa, but the work visa. Thank you, Carlos. Was for a specialized type of work. But the job I applied for could not hire foreigners on that visa. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I had to change my visa. So I'm doing paperwork in January, expecting to start work at my job that I was hired for. And they tell me, wait a minute, we can't hire you. I said, huh? You did all this paperwork months ago, and it was all signed off by the upper people, the top people. And you're telling me now that I'm in Japan, that I got through immigration, that you can't hire me on this visa? Really a miracle that I got into this country at all. It was a miracle. It really was. I should not be here, but I am. And I don't know. You can call that whatever you want. I think maybe it was some, I don't know, divine intervention from the man upstairs. I don't know. I think so. But so yeah, I'm in Japan, and I had to change my visa to a spousal visa. Spousal visas, if you don't know, in Japan are very flexible. If you are living in Japan on a spousal visa, you can essentially do whatever you want. You can work wherever you want. You can choose not to work anytime you want. You're very free on a spousal visa. So I changed my visa to a spousal visa. Carlos says it was destiny and God. Yes, amen. I think so. I really do believe so. Really, I should not be here right now, but I am. So I'm on a spousal visa currently, and I changed jobs actually after that first job I did working at a authorized Apple repair center in Okinawa. I decided to work at a school. So now I'm working at another private school. I'm working at another private school, and I'm teaching English, I'm teaching American history, and I'm teaching math. And again, just like with my middle school and high school that I worked at earlier, I mentioned this earlier in the live. If you guys didn't catch that part of the story, maybe you can catch it later. But the same situation. There are kids that are going to drive you crazy. There are kids that are great. The funny thing is that this school is all Japanese, pretty much all Japanese. There's a few half kids, and there's full American kids spotted here and there. If you don't know, Okinawa is very, how do you say? Okinawa is the probably only part of Japan, I would say, that is loaded with Americans. There are so many Americans here, and that is because of the many military bases that are on the island. There are so many American military bases. It's not even funny. Whenever people ask me, "Oh, are you here for the military?" I always say, "Nope. I married into Okinawa. I'm on a spousal visa," is what I tell them, and they're always shocked. They're like, "What? You're not You're not for the military?" No way. I could never do the military. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap my story up because it's getting pretty long and I'm almost home. I decided I want to try to get back on YouTube. However, I do not have the time to put in the dedication that I did before. 4 years ago, I made videos with such dedication and such fervor, and I was so into those videos, and I put everything into them, and I edited them. I took hours to edit them. It was great. It was fun. But now I don't have that time. I don't have that time. I'm working full time, and I'm also going to school, by the way. I'm going to school part time. I'm going to get my master's degree in linguistics, if anyone cares. I also want to do some linguistics videos because linguistics is a real passion of mine, and I would love to help anybody out with linguistics. And gosh, this lighting is terrible. It's nighttime in Japan, in case you haven't noticed. It's nighttime. But anyways, the videos I want to get back onto YouTube with are probably going to be kind of this live YouTube videos that I will do after work. I realize I spend a lot of time driving home doing nothing when I could just be making videos and enlightening you guys how it is living in Japan, how it is teaching at a Japanese school. There are some cool things about teaching in a Japanese school, working in a Japanese school, that I do want to show you sometime. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll do more of these. It's been 20 minutes-ish, 21 minutes, and I'm already home. I love you guys. See you later. Have a great day. And if no one has told you yet, you are awesome. You are special. All right, how do I end this thing? Bye, everyone.